Donald Trump is ridiculing a civil rights icon. He says Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape, according to Donald Trump, and falling apart, not to mention crime infested, rather than falsely complaining about the election results. All talk, 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 no action or results. Sad. That from Donald Trump. This comes after Congressman John Lewis questioned the legitimacy of the president-elect.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You do not consider him a legitimate president. Why is that?
I think the Russians participated in helping this man get elected, and they helped destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton.
All right, let's talk more now with our panel. Jason Johnson is the politics editor for TheRoot.com, and Lynn Sweet is the Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times in D.C. Good to see both of you. All right, so Lynn, you first. Congressman John Lewis putting his life on the line for civil rights. I mean, the list is long, his accomplishments over the years and even up till recently. How has the president-elect put himself in a position that may be very difficult to sustain his argument of all talk, 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 no action?
John Lewis has a storied civil rights record that precedes him coming into the United States Congress. It's a record of accomplishment that both Democrats and Republicans understand and respect. Many members of Congress each year go back to Selma with Congressman Lewis to learn the history, walk the walk, go across that bridge. So when you accuse, of all people, Congressman Lewis of not accomplishing anything, you pick the wrong man.
And Selma, that representing an apex, but there are several apexes for John Lewis and his accomplishments, and Jason, for human rights, civil rights, for people in his district. So how has this put Donald Trump in a very public and unsavory battle just days now before being sworn in? John Lewis saying he is not going to be in attendance, but we're also learning most recently, reportedly, that the Russian ambassador that met with Michael Flynn will be in attendance to this inauguration. So talk to me about your observations about this landscape now with this recent argument.
Well, Frederica, there's a couple of things. One, Trump is lying. So let's be clear. The president is lying. John Lewis district is one of the most successful.
The president-elect.
Yes, the president-elect is lying. John Lewis's district, 88% of the people in that district have high school diplomas. 41% of the people in that district have college degrees. It is not crime-ridden, so we have to be very clear that President-elect Trump is literally lying about a district in the United States of America. Beyond that, it's insulting. I've heard from Adrienne White, who's the head of the vice president of the Human and Civil Rights Museum, right across from CNN in Atlanta. She says this is disgraceful. I've spoken to the chairman of the Democratic Party in John Lewis's district. He says it's an embarrassment given his history. So what it demonstrates to me is, one, that Donald Trump, President-elect Trump, not only has a problem with the truth, but he clearly has no concerns, I don't care how many times he meets with Steve Harvey, about maintaining a relationship and showing respect for people who have historically fought for the African-American community.
Yeah, and we're digging up those stats to present in terms of those stats to either help substantiate, but largely to also counter Donald Trump saying, how disastrous and how crime-ridden, that district is that Congressman Lewis serves. So Lynn, Congressman Lewis, not the only Democrat who was questioning Trump's legitimacy. Hillary Clinton's former press secretary, Brian Fallon, saying Donald Trump is trying to cling to whatever legitimacy he still has. But are you seeing that this issue of legitimacy is one that will continue to cloud his presidency? Even if he says, let's move on, it's going to be very difficult for a Trump White House to move on, especially as Donald Trump continues to question the legitimacy of intel.
Well, at the core of this is the shoe is now on his foot. This is coming from the man who fostered the birther movement and encouraged it throughout the years of President Barack Obama. So where, as everyone knows, Trump was a leader of the movement questioning the legitimacy of President Obama's eligibility to be president, raising questions falsely that he was not born, raising questions about whether or not he was born in the United States, which he was conclusively. It was not the kind of fact-based questioning that is going on now, because there are some. So we do have reports from the intel community of the United States that there was intervention in the election. So if John Lewis wants to say it's not a legitimate election, he is expressing his opinion. You know, the good thing about this country is that when Donald Trump falsely accused President Barack Obama of not necessarily being a legitimate president, that's what this country is about. So to go after John Lewis in a Twitter tirade, I don't see how it's as productive for Trump as he might want as he starts in just a few days his presidency, wanting to get things through Congress, because this issue will not unite Republicans behind him.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Lynn, that you kind of made that segue. We only have about 30 seconds, perhaps, Jason, for you to respond to this. But, it is an interesting juxtaposition that the person who helped lead an effort to delegitimize a sitting president is now talking about an effort, in his view, being fueled by, fake information, information that he doesn't believe is credible by the intelligence community about delegitimizing, his tenure even before he's actually sworn in. So it's just a fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it?
Yes, and it's a disappointing one. Let's be clear. Mitt Romney, all sorts of people don't show up to inaugurations. The fact that he's this angry about John Lewis, he could set up a meeting with him rather than complaining about it on Twitter at 7:50 in the morning. But I think the larger issue is this. This entire administration is under review. Basically, there are legitimate questions about the national security behavior, about what they engage in during the campaign.
All right. Jason Johnson, thank you so much. Lynn Sweet, appreciate it.